The evening rain had stopped, but the zinc roof still dripped water into the bucket in the corner of their room in Owerri. Inside the small flat on Olu Road, two little girls sat on a worn raffia mat, their stomachs growling louder than their voices ever could. Their mother, Nkechi, stared an empty pot over a stove with no fire, pretending tomorrow would be different. "Mama, my stomach hurts," 6-year-old Chiamaka whispered. Her wrapper had been tied and retied so many times it was now too small for her growing body. Her twin sister, Chinyere, said nothing. She had learned that complaining only made the lines on Mama's face grow deeper, and she loved her mother too much to add more pain. Nkechi's hands shook as she touched the cold pot. "My daughters, your father will bring something when he comes back. Just be patient a little longer." But the twins knew the truth. They had heard this same story every day for 2 years. Papa would come home late with the smell of pepper soup and palm wine on his breath, his belly full and round, his pockets empty except for lies stacked like old newspapers. Before we continue with what happened to these precious twins, I need to ask you for something. If you love stories like this, stories that teach us about life, about justice, about standing up for what's right, then please do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button below this video. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my stories. I pour my heart into bringing you these powerful tales, and your subscription means the world to me. It tells me that these stories matter to you. So please take 2 seconds right now and subscribe. The rooster hadn't even crowed when Chiamaka's eyes opened. She heard that sound that had haunted her dreams since she was small. The sound of money being counted. The whisper of naira notes being arranged like akara on a tray. The satisfied grunt Papa Chukwudi made when he finished counting. She tapped Chinyere awake and put a finger to her lips. Together, the two of them crawled to the curtain that separated their room from their parents' room. Through the small opening, they saw something that made their hearts beat like talking drums. Chukwudi sat on his bed, his body surrounded by money. Piles and piles of naira notes arranged neatly like he was building a house with them. He counted each bundle slowly, his lips moving as he tallied the totals. When he finished, he packed everything inside a black Ghana must-go bag and hid it under his agbada. "I'm going to the warehouse," he announced loudly. "Don't wait for me." Nkechi was already awake, sitting on the floor trying to start a stove that had no kerosene. "Safe journey, my husband." The door slammed hard. Silence swallowed the whole room. Chinyere whispered to her sister, "Did you see all that money?" Chiamaka nodded, her small hands balled into fists. "I saw it. I always see it." The twins were identical in face, but different in spirit. Chiamaka was fire, always asking questions, always watching, always thinking. Chinyere was water, soft and flowing, accepting whatever life poured into her cup. But these days, even Chinyere's patience was running dry. Their uniform was one uniform that the two of them shared. Today, Chiamaka would wear it, tomorrow Chinyere. The uniform had so many patches it looked like a quilt. The other children at school called them shame twins because everyone knew they shared one uniform, one pair of slippers, one school bag. Chukwudi owned the biggest spare parts shop in Owerri main market. He sold car parts, motorcycle parts, generator parts, everything. Every day, mechanics came from all over Owerri, from Olu, from Baise, even from Aba to buy parts from him because his prices were good and his parts weren't fake. The money that man made could build a mansion in the GRA, but his own twin daughters shared one uniform. His wife sold akara by the roadside under the hot sun, barely making enough to buy a small measure of gari. Their house rent had expired 5 months ago and the landlord had pasted a red notice on their door. Yet, Chukwudi wore a different agbada every market day. His red cap had real coral beads. His shoes were Italian leather from Aba. His belly was big, like someone who had never known hunger in his entire life. Every evening, after he closed his shop and collected money from his sales, Chukwudi would disappear. She knew where he went, but what power did she have? She had tried begging, she had tried crying, she had tried reasoning with him. He would just shout that business was hard, that the government was wicked, that she should stop disturbing his peace. But Chiamaka had eyes sharp as a razor blade. Chiamaka had ears that could hear whispers from far away. Chiamaka was only 6 years old, but she wasn't foolish. She had been watching her father for months now, and she knew something was very, very wrong. That Thursday morning, when Chukwudi left for his warehouse, Chiamaka made a decision. She told her mother she was going to fetch water, but instead, she followed her father. She stayed far back, hiding behind kiosks and parked cars, moving like a shadow. She watched Chukwudi open his shop and begin his business. Customers came in and out like ants to sugar. Each person left money. Some paid cash, bundles of it. Some transferred money on their phones. By afternoon, that Ghana must-go bag was swollen like a pregnant woman's belly. At 2 p.m., Chukwudi locked his shop. Chiamaka hid behind a wheelbarrow and watched. Her father didn't go home. He walked straight to Mama Nogozi's restaurant, the most expensive buka in the entire market, the place where only rich men ate, the place where one plate of Naysola with stockfish cost 3,000 naira. Chiamaka crept to the window and looked inside. What she saw made her stomach turn. Her father ordered a mountain of food, fufu piled high like Zuma rock, Naysola thick with fish and meat, isiewu on the side, one full bottle of hero beer. He ate like a man who had been fasting for 40 days, even though his children at home had been fasting for 2 years. Chiamaka felt something hot and bitter rising in her throat. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She had cried enough tears to fill Oguta Lake. Today was not for crying. Today was for finding out the truth. After Chukwudi ate until his stomach was tight like a drum, he paid the bill and left. But he didn't go home. He walked towards the old part of Owerri, past the abandoned brewery that had closed down when Chiamaka was in her mother's womb, past the broken fence that had the sign, "Danger, no entry." Chiamaka's heart was beating louder than she was sure her father would hear. But she kept following, staying low, moving like a cat. Chukwudi looked left and right like a thief checking for witnesses. Then he entered the abandoned brewery through a hole in the wall. The building was half collapsed with rusty machines inside and broken bottles everywhere. People said spirits lived there. People said anyone who entered would go mad. But Chiamaka was more afraid of her father's lies than any spirit. She waited a few minutes, then followed him inside. The building smelt like rust and old rain. Chiamaka found a hiding spot behind a fallen pillar and watched. Her father was kneeling in the corner, digging in the ground with his bare hands. The earth there was loose like it had been disturbed many times before. Soon he pulled out not one, but 3 big Ghana must-go bags, the kind people use when traveling abroad. He opened all 3, and even in the dim lights that came through the broken roof, Chiamaka could see what was inside. Money. Bundles and bundles of naira notes, tight with rubber bands. All 3 bags were stuffed completely full. Chukwudi added the money from his black bag to one of the Ghana must-go bags and then buried all 3 again, smoothing the earth and placed an old piece of machinery on top to mark the spot. Chiamaka pressed both hands over her mouth to keep from screaming. Her whole body was shaking like someone with malaria. So this was the truth. This was why she and Chiere shared one uniform. This was why Mama cried herself to sleep every night. This was why they drank garri morning, afternoon and night and called it breakfast, lunch and dinner. Chukwudi stood up, brushed the dirt from his agbada and walked home whistling an Igbo praise song. Chiamaka ran home faster than she had ever run in her life. When she burst through the door, Chinyere was helping her mother wash their one uniform for tomorrow. "Chiamaka, where have you been? You said you were going to fetch water." "Mama, I need to tell you something very important." Nkechi saw the look in Chiamaka's eyes and immediately dropped the uniform. "What is it, my child?" "Call Chinyere, she needs to hear this too." The 3 of them sat together on their only mat and Chiamaka told them everything. About following Papa, about the restaurant, about the abandoned brewery, about the 3 Ghana must-go bags filled with money buried in the ground. Nkechi's face went through every expression a human being can make. Shock, disbelief, pain so deep it looked like death, and finally anger, the kind of anger that burns cold instead of hot. "Are you sure of what you saw?" Her voice was steady as stone.
"Mama, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. 3 big bags filled completely with money. Enough to change our whole life. Enough to send me and Chinyere to the best school in Owerri. Enough to build a house. Enough for everything we have ever needed and more." Chinyere, who rarely spoke, finally found her voice. "Mama, why does Papa hate us?" Nkechi pulled both twins close to her chest. "He doesn't hate you, my precious daughters. He just loves money more than he loves people. But I swear to God, that is going to change today. What are we going to do, Mama? Chiamaka asked. Nkechi stood up, and for the first time in 2 years, fire returned to her eyes. We are going to expose him. But I cannot do it alone. We need the whole community to witness what he has done. Early the next morning, Nkechi went to see Adana, the woman who sold vegetables at the junction and knew everybody's business in Owerri. If you wanted news to travel faster than light, you told Adana. My sister, I need your help, Nkechi said quietly. Adana leaned forward, her eyes bright with curiosity. What is it? Tomorrow is market day. After the market closes, bring everybody to my house. The women from the market, the men from the town union, the landlord, the community leaders, everybody. Tell them something shocking is going to happen. What will happen? You will see tomorrow. Just make sure you bring as many people as possible. Adana smiled wide. She loved drama more than she loved food. I will bring everybody, my sister. Trust me. Market day came. Chukwudi woke up, bathed, put on his finest George wrapper with matching shirts, and prepared to go to the market in his usual big man style. I'm going to the market, he announced proudly. Safe journey, Nkechi said sweetly. Too sweetly. The moment he left, Nkechi moved like lightning. She sent Chiamaka to call the president general of their town union. She sent Chinyere to call the community chairman. She knocked on every door on Olu Road herself. By the time Chukwudi returned from the market in the evening, his small compound was packed with people. The president general was there with his staff of office. The community chairman was there with his walking stick. Adana had brought what looked like every woman in Owerri. The landlord had come with the quick notice in his hand. Even the traditional prime minister's representative was there. What is this? What are all these people doing at my house? Chukwudi's voice was loud, but there was fear underneath it. I called them, my husband, Nkechi said calmly. I called them so everyone can witness the truth about you. Chukwudi's face turned dark. Woman, have you gone mad? What is this nonsense? Tell them, husband. Tell all these people why Chiamaka and Chinyere share one school uniform. Tell them why we owe house rent for 5 months. Tell them why I sell akara in the sun while you eat at Mama Ngozi's restaurant every single day. Business has been difficult, Chukwudi shouted to the crowd. You people know how things are in this Nigeria. The economy is killing us. I'm trying my best. You're trying your best? Nkechi's voice cut through the air like a machete. Is that why you wear new agbada every market day? Is that why your belly is fat while Chiamaka and Chinyere are thin as brooms? Is that why you smell like pepper soup and palm wine every evening while your children drink garri and water? The crowd began murmuring. People were looking at Chukwudi's expensive clothes, his coral beads cap, his leather shoes, his well-fed body. Then they looked at his wife's faded wrapper and his daughter's shared uniform. Adana shouted, I have seen you at Mama Ngozi's place, eating like a king, spending thousands every day. Another voice joined in. His shop is always full. How can business be bad? This man is lying to us. God, he's wicked. Chukwudi was sweating now, even though the evening breeze was cool. What I do with my money is my business. I work hard. I deserve to enjoy. Your money? Nkechi said quietly. The same money you say doesn't exist? The same money you claim the government has stolen? Which one is the truth, husband? The Spare Parts Dealers Association chairman from the market stepped forward. Oga Chukwudi, I know how much you sell every day. I know how much money enters your hand. Don't lie to these people. Chukwudi looked around like a trapped rat. You people don't understand the expenses I have. Suppliers are cheating me. The market union collects money. Transport is expensive. There are many things you don't know. Then, explain this, Nkechi said. She put her hand on Chiamaka's shoulder. Tell them what you saw, my daughter. Chiamaka stepped forward. Her voice was small but clear as a bell. She told the crowd everything about following her father, about watching him collect money from customers all day, about the restaurant, about the abandoned brewery, about the 3 Ghana Moscow bags filled with money buried in the ground. The crowd exploded like a bomb. People were shouting, cursing, calling Chukwudi every terrible name. The President General looked like he might cry. The landlord looked like he wanted to commit murder right there. "This is a lie from the pit of hell," Chukwudi screamed. "She is a child. She is lying. There is no money buried anywhere." The community chairman grabbed Chukwudi by the arm. "Then we will go and check right now. If there is nothing there, we will all apologize and punish your wife for false accusation. But if the money is there, then may God have mercy on your soul." The entire crowd marched through Owerri like a flood that had broken the dam. People poured out of their houses to see what was happening. By the time they reached the abandoned brewery, the crowd had tripled in size. News was traveling faster than mobile network. "Show us where the money is," the chairman commanded. Chukwudi tried to run, but 10 strong men held him. He screamed and begged, but nobody was listening anymore. Chiamaka pointed to the corner of the building. "There, under that old machine part." The young men began digging with their hands, with sticks, with anything they could find. It didn't even take 5 minutes. Soon, they pulled out the first Ghana Moscow bag, then the second, then the third. When they opened all 3 bags, the entire crowd went completely silent. You could hear the wind breathing. Then the screaming started, loud enough to wake the dead. All 3 bags were stuffed with money, bundles and bundles of crisp naira notes. Someone said it was over 8 million naira. Someone else said it had to be 15 million. Nobody knew exactly, but it was enough money to make a poor man faint. "God in heaven, this is wickedness," Adana screamed. "While Chiamaka and Chinyere share one uniform for twins. What kind of demon are you?" The President General's voice was shaking with rage. "Chukwudi, how will you answer to God on Judgment Day? You buried money in the ground while your children were starving?" Chukwudi fell to his knees in the dirt, his expensive George wrapper now covered in sand and shame. "Please forgive me. I can explain. Please." "Explain what?" the landlord roared. "Explain how you owe me 5 months' rent while you have millions buried like dead bodies? You are worse than the devil himself." The community chairman turned to Nkechi. "Sister, this man is your husband, but the decision is yours. What do you want us to do?" Nkechi looked down at Chukwudi kneeling in the dirt. She thought about every night her daughters had cried from hunger. Every morning they had gone to school ashamed, sharing one uniform. Every time she had begged him for help and he had turned her away with lies. Her voice when she finally spoke was quiet, but it carried the weight of 2 years of suffering. "I want him to feel what Chiamaka and Chinyere has felt. I want him to taste humiliation. I want him to carry this shame for the rest of his life." They dragged Chukwudi back to his compound. The crowd was singing songs of mockery, the kind they sing when a thief is caught. They made him sit in the middle of the compound, right there on the ground, in his expensive George wrapper. Nkechi brought out 2 buckets. She filled them with water from the gutter. Black, dirty water that smelled like all the shame in the world. She gave 1 bucket to Chiamaka and 1 to Chinyere. Chiamaka lifted her bucket first. "This is for every time Chinyere and I had to share one uniform, for every time the children laughed at us, for every time Mama cried and you didn't care." She poured the entire bucket over her father. Then Chinyere, gentle Chinyere who never raised her voice, lifted her bucket high. "This is for every night our stomachs hurt from hunger while you slept with a full belly." She turned the bucket upside down. Chukwudi sat there completely soaked, his expensive George wrapper ruined, his coral beads cap dripping with gutter water, his dignity buried deeper than his money had ever been. But Nkechi wasn't finished. She picked up her broom, the old one made from palm fronds that she used to sweep their compound every dawn. "Now you will run," she said calmly. "Run around this compound. Run like you have been running away from your responsibilities as a father and husband." The crowd was cheering, clapping, shouting. "Yes, make him run. Let him know suffering." Chukwudi begged on his knees. "Please, not this. Anything but this." The President General's voice was final. Run, or we take you to the Igwe's palace and let them judge you according to our tradition. So Chukwudi ran, and Nketi chased him with the broom, hitting him on his back, his legs, his shoulders. Around and around the compound they went. The crowd was singing, children were dancing.
That night, Chukwudi sat in the corner of their room, unable to look at anyone. The shame was eating him from inside. "I am sorry," he whispered. "God knows I am sorry." Nkechi was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Sorry is just a word. Now show us with your life that you mean it." And slowly, day by day, Chukwudi changed. He gave every single naira to his wife. She paid the rent in full. She bought 2 new uniforms, one for Chiamaka and one for Chinyere, plus shoes, bags, and books. She enrolled them in a private school where nobody would mock them. She bought a grinding machine and started a small business. They ate 3 meals a day, real food, together as a family. Chukwudi learned to eat at home instead of at Mama Ngozi's restaurant. He learned to wear simple clothes instead of expensive George wrappers. He learned that hearing Chiamaka and Chinyere laugh was worth more than any amount of buried money. The story spread through Owerri, through Aba, through Enugu, through all of Igbo land. Other wicked fathers heard it and feared the same public shame. Some of them changed their ways. Nkechi became famous as a woman of strength. Suffering women came to her for advice, and she taught them to find their own courage. The twins, Chiamaka and Chinyere, grew up strong and educated. Chiamaka became a lawyer who fought for women's rights. Chinyere became a teacher who made sure no child would ever have to share a uniform again. And the abandoned brewery was torn down. The community built a girls' school there instead, and they called it Twin Stars Academy. Chukwudi donated the money for the library. Years later, when people told this story, they always ended it the same way. Money that you bury in the ground instead of investing in your family is cursed money. A man who feeds himself while his children starve has no honor, no matter how expensive his clothes are. And if you forget this lesson, the bucket and the broom are always ready. If you made it to the end of this story, then you are part of something special. You are not just a viewer, you are family. And I need you to do something for me right now. First, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Second, turn on all notifications so you never miss a story. Third, and this is really important, drop a comment below and tell me what you thought about this story. Did it make you angry? Did it make you cry? Did it make you think about your own family differently? I read every single comment, and your words fuel me to keep creating these powerful stories. And here's something else. Share this video. Share it with your family WhatsApp group. Share it with your friends. Share it with anyone who needs to hear this message about family, responsibility, and justice. Because stories like this are meant to be shared. They're meant to teach us. They're meant to change us. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for watching until the end, for caring about these stories. You have no idea how much your support means to me. This channel exists because of people like you who believe that stories matter, that lessons matter, that truth matters. So one more time, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment below, and share this video. I have so many more powerful stories coming your way. Stories that will touch your heart. Stories that will make you think. Stories that you won't find anywhere else on YouTube. Don't miss them. Thank you for being part of this family. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your heart. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, family comes first. Always. God bless you all.